I talk extensively in my new book, CEO, about social media and about our phones being a weapon of mass distraction.
Welcome to Sales Secrets with Brandon Bornancin. On the daily, Brandon shares new secrets to help maximize sales and make more money today. Never miss a show by hitting the subscribe button now.
Welcome to this episode of Sales Secrets from the Top 1%, where the world's best sales experts share their secrets to sales success. And I'm thrilled, honored, humbled, and grateful to have with me today, Jeremy McGilvrey. Jeremy is a Harvard-educated sales funnels expert, #1 best-selling author, and a 2 Comma Club winner for his online marketing strategies, which catapult entrepreneurs through online marketing and sales. In 2007, Jeremy was named a financial planning expert by NBC and was managing over $100 million in assets. Jeremy is also the author of Instagram Secrets, the underground playbook for growing your following fast, driving massive traffic, and generating predictable profits. Jeremy has an insane journey, the ups and downs and everything in between, and he's here to share with you everything that he's learned, all of his secrets in sales along the way. Jeremy, thank you so much for joining us today.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
So I first came across you with this awesome book that's like #1 on Amazon called Instagram Secrets. Do you have a copy by you? Can we show the audience real quick? Dude, I love the book. I love the title. I love the headline. I love the content in it. I know you're an author of Instagram Secrets. I know you're an entrepreneur. I know you're an online marketing guru. So we're really excited to learn kind of everything that you've learned and give us all the secrets so we could do it 10 times faster. But the audience is dying to know 2 things. #1, what is your background and all of the secrets that you've learned throughout your entire marketing and sales career? #2, if you had to go back in time, what is the #1 sales secret that you would tell yourself to execute immediately to go from 6 figures to 7 figures club today, 7-figure to 8-figure club, 8-figure to 9-figure club, you name it. What's that one thing that would take you from 0 to 100 as fast as possible? And we'll save that for last. So we'd love to just kick things off and dive right into who is Jeremy, where are you from? And let's start going back from past to today and the different secrets along the way.
I have what I would like to refer to as a tumultuous background. I've had ups and downs and struggles. It's almost like a roller coaster where the downs have been very fast and the ups have been somewhat slow. But the key to anyone's journey, because there's not a person that will watch this or that will listen to this that hasn't faced roadblocks. But the key to all of this is the roadblocks are never there to keep any of us out. They're always there to see how damn bad we want it. And a crucial point is the more you try, the more you die. Just trying to rhyme there. But the point is, the more things you try, the more failures that you're going to have. But you have to understand that failures are where you analyze and adjust. It's a turning point. In my new book that will be my legacy, CEO, quick plug if that's okay, ceobook.com, that almost plays into sales actually. And I didn't know where I was going to go with a lot of this. But when it comes to sales, the key component needs to be simplicity. And so when I was writing my legacy book, when I was really uncovering the framework to success in almost any facet of life, acquiring a domain that is ceobook.com, it has to be stupid simple. Too many people want their buyers or their prospects to jump through hoops to find them and purchase their products. You've got to make things a no-brainer that a 5th grader could figure out. And that's a key component to almost any successful online business or offline business. How simple is the solution? I say in my new book, complexity is the enemy of execution. You should look at everything that you have and figure out not what else can I add, but what else can I take away? How can I fine tune it to make it just incredibly simplistic for people? I think it was Da Vinci who said, the ultimate form of sophistication is simplicity. And I think that's important.
I love that. I love it. Complexity is the enemy of execution. And what was that quote that you shared? And by the way, I'm on my phone. I'm taking notes while we talk.
That's fine. No problem.
Because I love to share them.
Sure. Da Vinci, I think it was, who said the best form of sophistication is simplicity. And then that plays into, simplicity or perfection is not when nothing else can be added, but when nothing else can be taken away. One of the new ventures that I'm currently working on is building a brand new online training academy that's going to help people connect with outsourcing websites like Upwork, Freelancer, Guru, and build businesses for them. Because one of the largest issues that I've found when I built my Instagram academies, when I built my email marketing academies, when I built affiliate marketing academies, was the key component wasn't the $1,000 or $2,000 they paid me for my course. The struggling point was constantly buying traffic and constantly getting leads. That was where the struggles took place. Because any business, any success in life, success is always in the process. And so you'll make progress when you repeat a process that delivers results. And I had my success with Instagram initially because I put my head down and I just did the work over and over and over and over again with the influencer shout outs, with email marketing, with killing it on webinars over and over again. But I think where a lot of our students lacked was they didn't have the bankroll to continue to buy those shout outs, or they gave into instant gratification. Once they made $20,000 or $30,000, they went and bought that new Range Rover with the big payment, or they went and bought something else, and they didn't realize that you've got to live a few years in your life like most people wouldn't to live the rest of your life like most people couldn't. And it's just a really key component to understand maturity by delaying gratification and investing in you, investing in your business before you go buy the status symbols or before you go buy the shiny objects that are out there for all of us.
I love it. And how did you learn these things, right? Like, cause I know you've been a top expert, the financial planning expert named by NBC affiliate, right? And you appeared on TV. I don't even know, how do you get on TV 1,000 times? Like, what's the secret to getting on TV 1,000 times? Cause I know you did, like the firm that you worked with, you managed over what, 100 million in assets?
So I came from the military and did my quick 4 years there and left as soon as I could. I was grateful for the training I received, I guess, in my teenage years. It's probably where a lot of my attention to detail comes from now, and probably discipline as well. But I went to finance, worked with Merrill Lynch, had some success with Merrill Lynch, but at 23 or 24 years old, I thought I knew everything there was to know about all of life. I was a genius in my own mind, which I was actually insecure and immature and lots of other things that start with I, maybe an idiot. But a little bit of that, I guess, profound arrogance at the point, and a little bit of the not understanding the complexities of what it really took to run a business played a key role in my success, because I went out there and I crushed it in finance for a very long time. At 25 or 26 years old, NBC, in the 7th largest city in the US, named me the financial planning expert. I was on TV tens of thousands of times, everywhere promoting my firm. I always knew that when you have a great product, whether it's a book you wrote or a product that you've developed, it's your job, it's your duty, it's your obligation, it's your responsibility to stand on top of every mountain and scream from the deepest part of your lungs what you can do to help people. Too many people have products or services and they just kind of whimper out there and say, if you want to buy my stuff, you should. No, when I create academies, when I build something, I give it all I've got. And I believe it's my duty to get people to pay for it. And again, when it comes to our pricing is generally higher than everybody else's, people who pay attention. And the more they pay, the more attention that they pay. And so, yeah, our stuff can be expensive at times, but so is the amount of attention and the amount of results that we get from that. So in finance, I left Maryland, started my own firm, took some poor advice from attorneys, and then made some other horrendously poor choices on my own.
Hey, hold on, before we go into the prison part, like, I'm just curious. So what was the secret when you were doing the MBA, like when you were doing your financial firm, to like winning all these, like 100 million in assets? You have to sell a lot of people, right? Sure. You have to, like, I'm sure it's a lot of money in the bank. Like, was there any one thing that stood out to you that you guys did that no one else was doing? So I know you said, hey, we yelled and we were loud and proud about, we're the best, you're going to pay for the best. And by paying for the best, you give it all your attention. But like, what's anything tactically or execution wise, like, that you did in sales and marketing that really pushed it over the edge compared to everyone else?
Yeah, and I have a great story for that. It's
Awesome.
important for people to know when it comes to managing 100 million in assets or closer to $500 million in assets, that wasn't money I had in my personal bank account. Those were assets of clients and mainly international investors that we manage their money. I don't want anyone to think that I had 100 million in an account, because that hasn't happened quite yet. But when it comes down to the selling aspect of this, the first key component to selling anything is confidence in your ability to provide the service to your customer. And too many people haven't became a student of their business and mastered their craft and figured it out so that they have that outrageous confidence to present their product or their solution. The number one thing anyone's looking for, I don't care what you're doing, I don't care if you're dating, I don't care if you're in a boardroom, I don't care if you're trying to close a deal, the number one thing everyone is looking for is an absolute certainty that you can provide what you're going to provide. Literally, right before I jumped on this call, I closed a deal, and I closed the deal at a decent price, and there was no negotiations whatsoever. Here's my price, here's what I can do for you, I'm the best in the world at this, take it, or maybe try your luck with someone else. And I emphatically believe, you could put a lie detector test on me or put a gun to my head, I believe I'm the best. I believe 100% I'm the best in the world at developing tightly engineered sales funnels that will convert cold traffic into warm buyers that will repeat to buy. There's no one else on the planet, I don't care who it is on the globe, I'm the best. But what made me the best was my ability to not own a television, was my ability to not get addicted to distractions, was my ability to not spend major time on minor stuff, was to really dial deep and figure out everything I could from everyone out there. So dialing back to your question, sorry to circle around, but in finance, here's how I did it. And it's
Perfect.
the same thing as I did killing it in the online arena. So in finance, I went to all of these big time financial advisors that drove Bentleys, that traveled on private jets. And I was a young kid at that point. I was, in my late teens, early 20s, and I was hungry for success. I grew up in a family that dealt with generational welfare. And the one thing I knew is I wanted to be an asset, not a liability to people in life. So with my own children, anytime we're driving around and there's homeless people around, I don't necessarily give people money because I just want to give money out. But if my children are with me, everyone gets money. The point of that is I want my children to develop a mindset early on that we're givers. We're people that help everyone else out there because we are outrageously blessed because of the work I've put in mainly. But we're outrageously blessed with what we have, and it's important to know that we should give as much as we can. So anyhow, going back to the question, I would go to the top financial advisors that were outrageously successful. I would take a notebook and a pen, very simplistic, and I would just ask them, building their ego as much as I could, how'd you do it? And I would take notes. And here's the key that a lot of people don't get. When you go to someone that's worth $10 million at 22 years old, and you don't come from money, and you don't come from a last name that people know, you can't just ask these people to talk to them. They won't speak to you. You have to bribe them in any way that you can. Figure out what they like. If they like Ferraris, go to eBay and buy a model Ferrari that has some type of sentimental value inside of it for 120 bucks. You've got to get to these people, and you've got to let them know that I'm hungry for this information and that I'm not just here for a one and done or in one move and prove. I'm here for the long haul. So once you figure out the art of unique gifts, if you will, you get some time with these people at lunch or with coffee or just in their office. And you shut up and listen. How'd you do it? If you could do it all over again, knowing what you know now, what would you do differently? And you take copious notes. You write, you write.
Like what I'm doing right now. I've got like 3 pages of notes already. I always love it because I always worry, like, I don't want the person I'm interviewing to think like I'm just messing around. Like, I love taking the notes so it's just ingrained every word. By the way, audience, if you're tuning in, take notes on this stuff. Jeremy's dropping some straight fire gold that could change your life. Like the not owning a television and not addicted to the drugs thing. That was interesting. So what do you mean? Like all of your time is just spent on just skill, like training? Like, what does that mean? I don't own a television. I'm not addicted to the things that other people are addicted to. I'm taking the shot. I'm going above and beyond with these people. Like you're just creating these habits that force you to to work?
Here's the key component. I talk extensively in my new book, CEO, about social media and about our phones being a weapon of mass distraction. Everybody wants to have these notifications for all kinds of garbage out there. And the regret I have for my Instagram book is I uncovered exactly what it takes to build a massive following, to create tightly engineered selling systems on Instagram and really dominate the market on Instagram. And I uncovered that the exact same way I figured finance out, by talking to the biggest names out there who are actually doing it and modeling their strategies and getting their information. But the problem that I believe a lot of people are struggling with, it goes down to spending major time on minor stuff. I came 6 years ago, I was given a $300 check and told good luck. And that was it, 6 years ago. And I've parlayed that moving forward into going to Harvard, into becoming a #1 best-selling author on every major continent, into winning the 2 Comma Club Award with ClickFunnels by generating $1 million. And so it all deviates back to the habits and the way you live your life, and more importantly than anything else in life, your reference point. What's your reference point? I mean, do you think you deserve to drive a Toyota Camry and live in a home that has linoleum on the floors? If that's what you think, then so be it. You will. If you believe that someone should open the door for you every time you walk out to a meeting, or if you believe that you should sit in a first-class seat, or if you believe that your family deserves to not be interrupted and do whatever they want at the events and stuff that you attend to, you've got to live your life a different way, and you've got to have a different reference point, and you've got to spend your time on different stuff. There's no way in hell you can spend your time looking for the bottom of your Instagram or Facebook feed if you know that you need to put your family on a private jet and take them to California. You just can't do that. You don't have time for that stuff. And so someone's reference point and what they believe, and I gave a talk in Houston last week that I was really emphatic on this. Everybody's life would change this very moment if they would just change the standards that they believe they deserve. I know when I was down and out and had nothing, I was pissed off. I wasn't happy. All my family was like, why are you mad all the time? Well, I'm eating what I don't want to eat. I'm living where I don't want to live. I'm driving what I don't want to drive. I'm wearing what I don't want to wear. I was outrageously angry. The rest of the world wants to conform and say, this is my lot in life. This is the way things are going to be, I guess. That's major bullshit. Your lot in life is what you make it. And again, we'll circle around a couple times to some stuff because obviously I can talk, but the key component that I believe nobody has an excuse. 6 years ago, I had $300 and no place to live. And I'm not saying that I'm flying on private jets all around the world at this point by any means in my recovery process, but I believe that my life is a higher quality than most lives out there. And it's all because you might have to go to a job that you hate and that sucks. I get it. I had to do that for a little while as well. But when that job is over, that's when you go to work. That's where you really go to the activities and figure out what's it going to take. I was able to win the 2 Comma Club Award very quickly, where most people have been in this business forever, because I figured out what it was going to take, and I understood that progress is in the process, and I repeated something long enough to have success. So, back to...
Progress is in the process. I love that. Keep going.
Well, and here's another small side point. When it comes to goal setting, I mean, I've achieved it all. I've done it all. I've been at rock bottom. I've turn setbacks into setups, into comebacks. When it comes to any goal in life, it doesn't matter what it is. I don't care what you want to do. Figure out where that end point is. Reverse engineer the process to what you want to do. 2 Comma Club, whatever it is, I don't care. Figure out what you want, and then figure out where you are right now. A problem with goal setting with people is they don't want to be honest about where they are right now because their situation isn't that great. And I don't care if you're trying to map a GPS in your car or your phone or whatever it is, you can't put in the end point unless you have a starting point. You've got to figure out brutally honestly, where am I right now? What are my bad habits right now? What are my unconscious patterns that I'm engaging in that are not producing the results that I want? What is that? And then you figure out what your result is. What do I want? I can guarantee you what any of your listeners want, someone else has achieved. I can guarantee it. And then here's what else they've done. They've documented the journey in outrageous detail about how they did it. So if progress is in the process and somebody writes a 600-page book laying out exactly what the process is, it's probably a good idea to read the book, read their blogs, watch their YouTube videos, whoever it is that you want to model their success, and do what they do. A misbelief that people have is uber successful people like myself and my friends is we hide all the good stuff for us. We don't give you the best information. We just give you a piece of it so we can sell you other things. Nothing could be further from the truth. You guys coming back from funnel hacking, the things that we've done, that Russell's done, we give you everything we've got. We don't want to keep us
same here
to ourselves. We give it all to you.
Wrote 15 books. Like the whole point is we share it so that we can make the biggest impact on the world. It's not about keeping it like, if we wanted to keep it for ourselves, we wouldn't have wrote the books. We wouldn't have come out with the training. We wouldn't have built the technology to help you be successful. I am 1000%.
I think it's just a big disbelief that people have. And if people really believed that,
you actually have to put all the secrets into the book, because that's the only way to get the book to sell and to get people to read it and take action. Like if you hold all the good stuff away, everyone's going to read a book and be like, this is shit.
They're going to kill you. I mean, one of my claims to fame is with my Instagram book. We have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of 5-star reviews for this book. I mean, it's unheard of for almost any book.
You've done amazing.
Now, there's some of my competitors that go on there and slaughter me in the reviews. And that's just kind of the way things work. And that's called the art of war, the art of business. I believe, though, what you put out comes back almost always. So I don't think that's a good strategy. But I also don't sweat it or worry about it either. But when you have someone, I'm 40-some years old now, who wrote a book like this, who's going to allow you to compress decades into days, it's kind of foolish of people not to go read it and understand what it takes, what they need to succeed. And if people really believe that the secrets or the information were in these books, they'd read them. I mean, I understand that sitting and reading a book can be difficult, but that's the reason why Automobile University is out there, I call it. You can listen to the audio versions of these books. You can get the information. There's no excuse. The only excuse is you don't want to do it. I mean, the how-to's there, but you got to have the want to.
You don't want to put in the work.
So
yeah, and I've been there. I've been there. The audience has been there, right? Like I've bought tons of books that I've bought that I haven't read because it's because of me. I don't have the motivation. I don't have the energy. I don't have the focus. I don't have the willpower. It's on me.
I've read so many of them that I'm kind of going back and reading them again. I picked up How to Win Friends and Influence People again a couple of days ago, and I started reading through it, and the actual physical copy of the book. One of my New Year's resolutions was, it's called NET, no extra time. So no matter where I am, if I'm sitting someplace, if I'm sitting there daydreaming.
I love that. No extra time.
That's a disaster.
What does that mean?
For me. So just picking up a book, and you have to set yourself up to have success. And in my book, I spent a whole chapter about habits. And the way habits work, neuroscientists figured out at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology that habits work on a loop. You have a cue that makes you engage in the habit. You have a routine that you're doing the habit, and you have a reward, the payoff of the habit. And the reward 99% of the time, if not all of it, is dopamine that hits the neurotransmitters inside of your brain. And so if the cue is I'm sitting in a doctor's office, or the cue is I'm waiting for something else, if that's the cue, you need to have a book ready to go, whether it's on your phone or whatever it is. So that way you're already ready to engage in the routine, reading the book, and then the reward should be self-fulfilling, that I just advanced my progress. Too many people don't realize they're their most valuable asset. But if you ask someone, how much are you investing in yourself? And it doesn't need to be monetarily by any means, but what are you doing to invest in yourself? The majority of people would twiddle their thumbs and say, I don't know. But then when you ask them, what's the balance of your bank account? They'd be ashamed to show you. There's a correlation between what you invest in yourself, and even more importantly, circling back around, when you invest in yourself and you develop your skills and your talents and what you can bring to the world, that's where your confidence comes in. Because if you believe you really are the best by the results you're getting and the information you've taken in, you can produce the quality and get those results. So again, kind of wrapping some of this stuff up, I would go to all the financial advisors that were outrageously successful. There'd be 20 or 30 of them. I would bribe my way into meeting with them because it was really hard being a have-not, getting around the haves. And I would just ask them the same questions. How did you do it? And I would build their egos as much as possible. I would take as many notes as I could. And out of 30 of them telling me their outrageous secrets that they did, each one of them I would take one or two things that I thought would work. You know, one of the most important things I took from one of the guys that was outrageously successful is he said early on he had something called an advisory board. He said once a quarter he would get his top clients together He would go buy him breakfast or lunch or whatever it is, and he would ask him, what do you like that I'm doing in my firm? And he would take notes, and then he would ask him, what do you not like? And he would take notes and learn how to fix it. And he said not only was that the greatest thing that he ever did, because he learned how to fix some of the things that people didn't get, but to this day, he said 90% of his referrals all came from that small advisory group. And so in my firm later, to have successful, I had, and I do everything over the top. I had probably a dozen advisory groups. We met once a month, and I had all these different groups of people that I would do the same thing. What do you like I'm doing? What do you not like that I'm doing? And then all these people were feeding referrals into my business because they felt like they owned a portion of the result. And I mean, you got to ask the people for the information. When it comes to online marketing, I became best friends with all the biggest marketers pretty much out there. I can text them for answers now. And, you know, with ClickFunnels and Russell being so significant and me kind of still being a little bit new to this, I was the one that Russell reached out to when he wrote his 30days.com book. I was the one that contributed the chapter. I was the one that put the most meaningful image components inside of this book using Instagram and sales funnels and showing people legitimately, emphatically, how you can go from nothing to scaling a business using Instagram and using sales funnels. So it's the hunger and the want to and the belief in your abilities after you do the work.
Fire. I love it. I love it. And I completely agree. You know, not a lot of people have massive success and then lose it all and go to prison, right? And I love that you talk a lot about this, like how you are facing 2 life sentences. And, you know, what happened with the financial firm? How did you go to prison? And then what were the top secrets that you learned in prison?
Sleep on your back. That was a pretty good secret in prison. No. I like to joke about it a little bit now, and most of my friends and I, we joke about it as well, but it's certainly not a laughing or joking matter by any means. They did initially start with 2 life sentences, and the majority of the time, I was terrified. I would love to try to act tough, but nothing could be further from the truth. Initially,
and to back up, like what happened? What'd you get charged for? And then like take us through the journey. And by the way, guys, like what's great is Jeremy, you know, and I want to challenge you guys to have this mindset. Like good things happen to bad people, like, you know, through whatever. You gotta. I'm not looking at Jeremy and judging. He went to prison, so I'm not going to try to learn anything from this guy. I'm looking at this guy managed $100 million in assets. What can I learn from him? He also did something, went down the wrong path that led to prison. Like what caused that? What can I learn? What are the secrets so I could avoid that or learn from it? And then what are the secrets post-prison that Jeremy leveraged to become a millionaire again? It is very difficult to go from rags to riches to prison to riches, right? So that's the key. I'm going to challenge all of you guys while you're on the podcast to just like look for those things. Really tune in to understand that.
What happened in my firm was the success and wealth came faster than the wisdom. We started killing it and doing very, very well. I took some advice from a law firm to execute some trades that turned out being illegal and turned out being wrong. And I always preface that with, I'm not placing the blame on anyone but myself. When I walked in front of the judge, I took 100% accountability and responsibility for everything that took place in the firm I was the chairman and CEO of. So I made a plethora of poor choices. And if I could go back and do it over again, I absolutely would make significantly different decisions. And I'm ashamed about my choices. There's nothing short of saying I royally screwed up. I started making exceptions, and then I turned into a new normal of conducting business in a way through a law firm that I believed was legitimate that led me down the wrong path, and my choices led down the wrong path. You know, a key fortunate component was the law firm paid $1 million of restitution back later on, which certainly helped the people that the wrong took place. So I think it's really important to understand I did get hit really hard with, instead of 2 life sentences, 2 20-year prison terms. I expected to go home that day. My attorney said, the worst part's behind you, you're going home. And as I talk about it in my new book, CEO, it's like playing a sadistic game of Simon Says, where Simon says, pat your head, but he pats his stomach. I saw myself going home, But instead, I was given a 40-year prison term that day. And I was floored. I couldn't believe it. And when something like that happens, you go to maximum security prisons with killers. You see, the federal government, the Fed said he didn't do anything wrong, he's fine. But the state, which the state generally does with murderers and drug dealers and robbery, they're the ones who we worked with, and it didn't turn out too well. So I remember I was telling this story in Houston a couple weeks ago, or actually last week, that I was in trial for the civil suit with the lawyers. And the lawyers were eventually paying a portion of the money back. And I remember when I was testifying for several days, the court reporter looked up at me and said, "Young man, you're not gonna have to do all that time, are you?" And I remember looking over at her and saying, "I'll figure something out." And I didn't know that I was gonna figure something out. I was kind of speaking it into the future. But I knew that every single day, prison won or I won. And it didn't matter if I was still behind these horrendous facilities that I was incarcerated in. I had to grow every day and I had to learn every day. And I also had to make sure I owned it so I could overcome it. I don't ever want to go on any podcast or any talk show or any outlet and say, they did it, it wasn't my fault. Bullshit. What happened was 100% my fault. I knew better. I allowed my better judgment to be overrode by the success I was having and thinking that I could pull off everything that we did. So it was wrong. And the charge was misapplication of fiduciary property. And again, there's nothing else I can say than what I did was wrong, and I wish like hell I could do it over again and make different choices. But I also say that I was given a talk not long after I was given the release, and one of the people asked me, how did you do it, Jeremy, in all those maximum security prisons? And what I told him was, and I didn't even think about this, but I remember telling him the days I doubted never outweighed the days I believed. Now, it was a very difficult struggle for someone like me to go into some of the places that I did. But I knew that if I was as good as I thought I was, if I was as confident in my abilities of what I had built as I thought I was, then I'd figure it out. And if I really was a phony or a fake, then I wouldn't figure it out. And so that was where a lot of the motivation came in, not only to really turn some of my worst years into actually my best years in terms of lessons learned and the ability to really dial in what I need to do to stay away from the mistakes I made. In my new book, CEO, I talk very specifically about 5 key mistakes I made, whether it's making exceptions or seeking instant gratification or allowing arrogance to override your better judgment. I talk very emphatically because going through what I went through and the mistakes I made and the hell that I caused a lot of people, it's super important and a cardinal sin, I believe, not to share the lessons learned. And
you have to. That's why I was so excited to chat with you, because it's incredible. Like, and I know you had mentioned like the jail one or you won. A lot of us have been down and out, right? Whether we're not hitting our commissions and we're going to fail, or maybe we may go to prison, whatever it is, right? How do you recommend to someone to, no matter how bad it is, they need to build this belief that I will win, I will get through this no matter what? Because that's a hard thing to come up with and build when you feel like the whole world is caving in. You may be losing your house, your family, your marriage, everything, because you can't sell or for whatever. Maybe you went down the wrong path and you're going to jail. It's just, you and I are programmed to do that. But how does the audience realize, like, you have to have this belief, you have to be all in on your success and knowing that it's going to get better?
We have this belief, but it goes into what I extensively talk about in my new book, the programmed belief. I didn't wake up one day and say, oh, I'm invincible, or, oh, I'm going to become successful. That's not the way it happened. I did the work and I constantly repeated the process to have success. And I believed that if I was as successful as I believed I was in my younger years, then that success would come again and prove that, yeah, I absolutely screwed up on just a massive scale. But it doesn't mean that someone who makes a poor choice is a poor person. It just means that they made some mistakes and now it's time to figure out who they really are. Let's say that person A and person B are going to go climb a mountain. And one is outrageously talented at climbing, and the other one really isn't that talented at all. In great weather conditions, you couldn't tell the difference who was who. When the shit hits the fan, when the north face comes up and things get very, very difficult, that's when you get to see who really knows what they're doing. Life is going to present all of us with obstacles, setbacks, adversity. And during those down moments, that's where you get to really dig in and figure out, who are you? I think a lot of us don't even know who we are, or we do know who we are. We got punched in the mouth so many times that we just stay down and say, this is our lot in life, where nothing could be further from the truth. Every day is a new day and a new opportunity to make a decision to say, look, enough is enough. I'm down, I'm not staying down, I'm getting up and I'm gonna try again, and I'm probably getting knocked down, I'm gonna try again too. That's the one thing that my children need to know from me more than anything else, is their father never stopped trying. He screwed up, he made lots of mistakes, but he also helped a tremendous amount of people, wrote some great books, and told his story in a way that lets people know that your past doesn't define your future unless you allow it to.
Yeah, I love that. That's an incredible mindset shift, and I know I'm gonna learn a lot from that and apply it to my life. I try to do that every day, but I could do 10 times better, and I'm sure the audience can as well. So post prison,
let me tell you a story.
You know, you're released in 2013, right?
At the end of 2013, I come back. I move in with my father and stepmother, and they made it clear that was a very temporary opportunity for them. I was dating my son Tristan's mother. We were together for 5 years. And I remember we were in Houston, Texas. We were going to meet some of my friends, and it was raining like crazy. And in Houston, Texas is a concrete jungle. There's no place for the water to go, and parking is outrageously difficult. We had to park like 2 blocks away and run into this restaurant that we met people. When we're sitting there, we're ordering from the right side of the menu, which is where the prices are, not the left side. I couldn't valet park, so of course we were drenched. And I was furious. I kept saying, and I was even saying it out loud. My friends thought I was psycho. I kept saying, this is not my life. This is not my life. And I didn't believe that things should be this hard. I didn't believe that I shouldn't be able to valet park. I didn't believe that I shouldn't be able to order whatever the hell I wanted. It just wasn't a belief that would register inside of my mind. And so I went to work selling used cars and almost being humiliated by the people that are around those types of facilities. But when my time was off, I worked like hell learning internet marketing, reading everything you could read, watching every webinar, any money I made, buying programs and products, whatever I possibly could. And my desire to get my life back to where I wanted it to be is what really made all the difference. I remember a couple years after that, my son's mother, Narissa, and I, we were seeing a family therapist because she was pissed off about all I did was work. I have no time for her. I just work.
I can relate.
I remember this therapist saying, you know what? Jeremy has a reference point of being a millionaire. And until he gets back there, until he achieves the success that he believes that he deserves, no one's going to stop him from getting there. Now, I believe that as long as you're operating with ethics and morals and understanding that there's a quote that says there's 3 things you can never hide: the sun, the moon, and the truth. As long as you're operating in a way that is ascending you towards your goals, even if you go back sometimes, it doesn't matter where you are. It doesn't matter if you're living where you don't want to live, you're eating where you don't want to eat. Who cares? That's temporary. It's not a permanent situation when there's an outrageous amount of information on the internet that if you'll dial in and figure out the solutions, repeat the process long enough, you can have, do, be anything you want at any time.
I love it. I love it. So after prison, you sold cars, and then while you were selling cars, you were like, I could do better than this, and you studied online marketing, and then
studied online marketing day and night. I wanted to create some way that I could not trade my time for money. I wanted to create a system that stuff would work while I wasn't, whether it's all the webinars we have out there or writing a book and selling it over and over again. There's a great quote from Michael Gerber that says, systems permit ordinary people to achieve extraordinary results predictably. And you notice a lot of these quotes and a lot of these things I say, I don't need to go look at a damn note card. It's beat into my brain, understanding that this is a way of life. I tell people when it comes to repetition and changing their life and changing their habits, you don't practice until you get it right. You practice until you can't get it wrong. that's when you know you figured this stuff out. And a key way to really reprogram your mind, and this goes into my new book. My new book is all about neuroscience and figuring out what it takes to program yourself to succeed. I wrote the book and was done with it 2 years ago. And then I kept asking myself, is that the best you can do? Is that the best you can do? And I ask myself that every time I write a book or give a talk or build a funnel. Is that the best?
So hard.
And if your answer is a legitimate, that's the best I can do, great, that's fine. But if your answer is not, that's the best I can do, you need to figure out how to improve it and make it better. And so my book, I didn't want to tell people to set goals, have discipline, have a vision for your life. That's real cute. And a lot of people say that. I wanted to dial into the science. How do I program my brain in a way that makes my neurons fire so that I will finally break free and have permanent, sustainable success? That was really important. So there's an outrageous amount of scientific research inside of my book that really shows you why every person on the planet that sets New Year's resolutions never make it out of February. It's impossible for your New Year's resolutions to make it out of February. And the reason why is your frontal cortex, the most evolved part of your brain that makes up 5% of your life at most, is where your conscious intentions come from in writing your goals down. You have to program the subconscious mind to really execute on this stuff. You can't write a 600-page book that has this much information in it with your conscious mind. You'll kill yourself. What you have to do is you have to program your life in a way to repeat predictable patterns and routines that will come up with the results. So my conscious mind, I can create a funnel. My conscious mind, I can give a presentation. My conscious mind, I can write a book. But the unconscious part, the subconscious, the 95 part, is the patterns that you've created in your life. And the only way that you can create the patterns is by doing things over and over and over and over again that will deliver the results. There's no such thing as just doing something once and having success. It'll go away. That's why lottery winners go broke.
Wow. Yeah, I love it. So what was the habit that you did for the 600-page book?
Every single day I had a specific time where I started writing and researching. I had a specific time where I stopped. I had some breaks in between. The hardest part was the end, when I was done and, asking myself, is that the best you can do? And then figuring out, how do you close a book of this magnitude that I believe has the potential to make 1 billion lives better? How do you do something like this? It's going to really possibly overturn Think and Grow Rich, possibly overturn the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. How do you really weave something like this together with the science that will never change? And so I had to create patterns in my life that every day I engaged in writing, researching, and having some small breaks. I talked about the Pomodoro technique in my book that says, you work for 25 minutes, take a 5-minute break, and you try to work yourself up to working for 50 minutes at a time. But what you'll see with a lot of people when it comes to addicted to distractions, they'll work for 10 minutes and go bullshit. They'll work for 15 minutes and they'll be on Facebook, or once they see one thing on Facebook, it sends them down a rabbit hole to start watching videos or engage in stuff that's nowhere going to produce real sustainable results. That's my secret weapon or my secret power. I can shut the world out and I can put my head down and work. I remember my editor was asking me when I was talking about our phones, our weapons of mass distraction, and I tell people that, or I was writing in there that if you do one thing, turn all the notifications off on your phone. You shouldn't be the person who's being bombarded with the notifications. You should be the notifier. I joke about my prison cell. I was like, they call it a cell phone because it's a cell. It captures you. It puts you in a place that you can't produce. And so my editor was trying to tell me, well, how do people ever get a hold of you? I'm like, they don't. If you want to leave me a message, if you want to text me, if you want to email me, I'll get back with you when I can. But there's no way in hell I'm going to be locked into doing productive work and then shoot astray to go check a message. I can't produce like that.
Yeah, I love it. Well, Jeremy, this is amazing. And now, so now what are you up to today? You've got the Instagram Secrets book. You've got the CEO book. What do you sell and do today to help people?
The main component is my CEO book. I had to take an outrageous amount of time away from my main work to finish this book. So I haven't been able to focus as much on the businesses that we're working on now. I believe a missed opportunity that I had with teaching people through online training programs was connecting the buyer with the seller. And so many of these outsourcing platforms have hungry buyers ready to buy people's service. but they just need to be able to be connected the right way. And so what if they take 10 or 15 or 20% of the proceeds? You're going to spend way more than that running traffic and getting the leads and paying for all the components of your business anyway. So I want to teach people how to go from a struggling entrepreneur who's hungry to have success and take care of their family to learn a system that doesn't cost them a penny and providing a service that will generate revenue that's not going to make them a millionaire anytime soon, but it will at least give them enough revenue to where they don't have to worry about paying their children's health insurance or daycare or going on date night or how the mortgage is getting paid. Having that certainty in their life to where they can expand and grow and create other systems to have success.
I love it. I love it. I love it. So without further ado, sales secrets from the top 1%, where the world's best sales experts share their secrets to sales success. Jeremy, if you could go back in time to when you first started in sales marketing, your life journey, the one thing that you could do to maximize sales, maximize revenue, and make more money today, what would be your number one top sales secret?
It goes down to figuring out crystal clear what you want. Where are you going? Too many people, if I were to sit down with them, ask them, what do you want? Where are you going? They don't know where they're going. Then they wonder why they don't get there. Kind of silly. It's very simplistic. All of this stuff is real simple. It's not as complex as many people think. So the number one sales secret is that what are you trying to sell? What are you trying to accomplish? What are your goals? How are you going to track and measure the targets that you're shooting for? In sales, a lot of times you can't track XYZ sale was made, but what you can track, how many contacts did you make? How many proposals did you put together? How many classes did you teach? What information are you putting out there to run people through a selling platform that will generate the leads? It's so crucial to have just outrageous confidence in your ability to what you're selling or what you're doing. And the only way you're going to have that confidence, the only way you're going to figure that out is becoming a student of the business and constantly carving out time each and every day to read the books, watch the videos, listen to the audios. If you find yourself watching Netflix, or if you find yourself scrolling through Facebook or Instagram, it's going to happen because it's a habit. You've been programmed to do this. The dopamine in your brain has fired so many times that there's a neurosignature and something called your basal ganglia that makes you engage in these unproductive activities. And the only way to get out of these unproductive activities is consciously be aware of what you're doing. If you're aware of, oh, I probably shouldn't be on Facebook right now. I probably should be reading XYZ blog about this. Or, oh, I probably shouldn't be watching Netflix right now. I should be watching a video on YouTube about how to do this. And you have to reward yourself with some downtime. But when you're a student of the business and you're obsessed and hungry with figuring out what the solutions are, you don't want to watch Netflix. You don't give a shit what people are doing on Instagram or Facebook. It's about what can I do to grow myself, make myself so incredibly valuable that people can't resist buying and working from me. And when you get to that point with the confidence and the obsession about having success, you look at any speaker, you look at any salesman out there, the number one contagious thing they have is their confidence and their certainty in what they're selling. You'll get that when you do the work, you figure out how to master your craft, and then you present that in a very simplistic form to your prospects.
I love it, man. I love it. That's amazing. So you've got to be crystal clear on where you want to go and how you're going to get there. And you have to be obsessed and hungry to do and go wherever you want to go and do to make it happen. That's incredible, man. What are your goals and what are you going to track and measure to get there? Crystal clear goals.
It's not as complex as people make it out to be. Goal setting is easy. What do you want? Where are you? What are the steps it's going to take to get there? Follow the process, follow the steps, and you get it. It's easy.
And who are the people too that you could pay or learn from to get there? Like, dude, there are so many people that have wasted decades trying to go somewhere and they've accomplished where you want to go. Just go and find them and pay them and learn what they've done to do it.
Here's some secrets to that. Some people may not have the money to go buy XYZ, and I get it. That's fine. Almost all the information that you want to figure out what you want to figure out is free on YouTube. It is insane. The internet leveled the playing field for all of us. I mean, you don't have to try like hell to get into Harvard. You can go watch Harvard lectures on YouTube for free. I mean, it's all about the hunger and the want to. And here's the next crucial component. You must learn from people that are their own best customer. Do not take advice from someone you wouldn't trade places with. There's so many people out there trying to teach people how to do stuff, and that's their business. That's what they do. They teach people how to do it instead of actually doing it. They must be their own best customer. They must eat what they cook. You've got to make certain that you do the due diligence and see that these people are producing the results for themselves, and then you can learn from them instead of someone that's just out there talking about what they heard from someone else.
Right. Yeah, they've got to be the executioners actually. Like if they're telling you how to cook the best meal, they better be damn good chefs.
That's right.
Awesome. Jeremy McGilvrey, where can the audience learn from you, follow you, connect with you to learn more?
The number one thing you could do to, I believe, help me and more importantly, help you, I spent my life, whether it was documenting all of my mistakes in a prison cell, whether it was documenting how I made my comeback to where I am today, I spent my life on this book, CEO. And I made it stupid simple to go to ceobook.com where you can read more about my story. You can see some of my presentations. You can pick up this book and understand that until you program your subconscious to make the decisions that will help you succeed, your conscious intentions are a waste of time. So ceobook.com, I would do anything in the world to really beat this down into people so they can break free. I wrote the book mainly for my kids. If no one reads this book other than my two boys, I'll consider the decades I spent gathering the information, putting it together, and all the exercises in the book 100% just fine. I wrote it for my children because I want my children. And CEO is not about running an entity. CEO is about running you. It's living life on your own terms, doing what you want to do when you want to do it. Now, self-discipline is telling yourself what to do and not talking back. But CEO is just having the freedom, the time freedom to live your life in a way that you love. That's it. And that's what I want for my children more than anything else. I don't want them to hate to go to a job. I don't want them to have to go do something they don't want to. I want them to live their life on their own terms and be the CEO of them.
Wow. Amazing. ceobook.com, ceobook.com. Get your free book. And it sounds like, so it's free. Yeah.
Well, the book is free. If you want the physical version of the book, we ask you to pay shipping because it is a 3-pound book and there's so much content in there. It can be anywhere from $8 or $9 to pay for the shipping, or it can be $15 or $17 to pay for the shipping. And just so some of the users know, it costs me $35 to ship it overseas a lot of times. So we generally don't make a lot of money on the book, but I will make you other offers. If they're a good fit, pick them up. If they're not a good fit, and that's fine too.
I love it. Yeah, I'm on the site now. It looks awesome, man. I'm excited. I'm excited to pick up the book. I'm excited to pick up the ebook. I'm excited to start diving in. 600 plus pages. The 7 secrets to unleash your inner boss and start building your $1 million future today. Jeremy, man, thank you so much for joining us. And audience, listeners, thank you and watchers on YouTube and everywhere where there's video or audio. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode of Sales Secrets from the Top 1%, where the world's best sales experts share their secrets to sales success. You know, you could watch these videos. You could listen to the audio at secretsalesbook.com, secretsalesbook.com, secretsalesbook.com. You want a copy of Jeremy's top sales secret? You want to watch this again? You want to listen to it again? Go to secretsalesbook.com today and tune in every Monday and Thursday for Sales Secrets from the Top 1%, where they tell you everything you need to go from 0 to 6 figures, 6 to 7, 7 to 8, 8 to 9 figures in sales. All the secrets are from people that have gone where they've been to where they want to go, and they've got the model to take you there faster, smarter, easier, and you just got to learn it and you got to apply it. So thank you for tuning in, everyone. And Jeremy, thank you so much for joining us on today's episode. It was fire, and we're excited to share this with everyone.
Thank you for listening to Sales Secrets with Bornancin. If you enjoyed the show, please don't forget to hit that subscribe button right now so you never miss an episode that drops on the daily. Your success is our success.